we going to be talking about today? We like to say that when people say there's the need to pay for government contracting intelligence, we think that's one of the biggest lies in our industry, because there are so many available data sources for us for free out there that you can use to find market intelligence. You just have to be smart about it. You have to be a little creative. You know, there are commercial systems and there are consulting firms like ourselves that really make it feel like this information is shrouded in mystery. But it is attainable without paywall and without paying for expertise. So we've actually clocked it at over 90.gov free websites that contractors can use when it comes to research and connecting the dots when it comes to market intelligence. So we're going to go over a couple of popular sources. Obviously, we're not going over all 90. Some of these are going to be more obvious than others, but we're going to talk to you about what they are and how we use them, what we like and what we don't. All right, so let's get into some of the popular sources. We're going to start off with USASpending.gov. Now, if you've never used USASpending.gov and you're in government contracting, what have you been doing? USASpending is an official source for spending data for the United States federal government. Now, what about FPDS? That's what I always get asked. USASpending.gov was actually an initiative that does pull from FPDS data. So the two are interlinked in a really intense way. USASpending is just easier to leverage, and the reporting feature is better than that of FPDS when it comes to being able to understand the information that's being put out to you. But you can follow money from the congressional appropriations to the federal agencies and also down to local communities and businesses. So that's what's provided. You do not actually require a login or registration to use USASpending.gov. So that's great. You don't have to go through the sort of here's your registration, dual factor authentication, or anything like that. It's just free and easy to use. What we like about it is it really does have great visualization on the data. And it has an easy to use tool to search award data. So if you're looking for awards, the first place that you should go is USASpending.gov. Now, what we don't like is, just like any of these systems, it's only as good as the information that's actually input into the systems. So for example, in one of these reports here, $8.7 billion has gone unknown in FY23. What's unknown? If the information isn't tagged, then you're not necessarily going to be able to use it. But we do love the visualization. Data downloads can also take forever. And so that's just something to consider when you are exporting through there. We use USASpending as the starting point for pretty much every research project that we do, if that gives you any indication at all. Then we have SAM.gov. You're sitting there going, oh, great, they're talking about SAM.gov as if I'm a government contractor and I don't know what to do with that. Well, it is supposed to be the single basis repository for federal documentation and data when it comes to procurement. You have to register in it to do business with the government. You use it to update, renew, check your status of your entity registration, to search for other entity registrations. That's always huge. When you're doing competitive intelligence, if you're not looking for other entities, and what their NAICS are, their PSC, and any other sort of information that you can garner from the reports that you can export on that entity registration, then you're missing sort of the baseline of competitive intelligence. You can search for assistance listings. This was, formerly CFDA.gov, wage determinations, and then obviously formerly FB.do.gov, which we all hated and then loved when we moved to SAM, and then contract data reports. So there's parts of former FPDS.gov as well. The intention was that FPDS was going to roll fully into SAM. That was the intention. That's what was announced, but that is not what the actuality is. So there's only components of FPDS.gov, which is why you still have to go to FPDS to do some real contract data reports. You can view and submit bio-preferred and service contract reports and access publicly available award data via the data extracts and system accounts. Now, there's no cost to register. So especially if you ever meet anybody that's new to government contracting, if they say, and this is a terrible story, but we had a firm come to us years ago saying, look, I paid $5,000 to an organization to get me a GSA schedule. And what they had really done was just register them in SAM. So it is free to join. There's no crazy cost. And you have to register to get a UEI to do business with the federal government. That's why we all need this. And it is sort of the baseline for looking for open contracts. Now, a lot of people say, well, if it's on sam.gov, then it's already too late. There's a couple different schools of thought with that. It's not always 100% true, but yes, if it's already open to the public, then your chance of competition is greater and therefore your P-win is lower. And so that's what people mean by that. What do we like about it? Not too much, but it's a necessary evil. And so to find opportunities and to do work with the federal government, we might not love it, but we have to acknowledge it. And then Amber had written in this, what we don't like is too much to name on this presentation. But you really do, when you're using it, have to be mindful of hierarchy structures and opportunity status, and always make sure to mark inactive and active when searching. Then we have acquisition.gov, and a lot of people don't leverage this, but it is a comprehensive online platform that serves as a central hub for acquisition-related information, policies, and tools. This one also does not require a login or registration. Now, the things that we like about acquisition.gov is it actually provides an easier way to search the FAR and provides a lot of resources in one place that can be hard to find, like different agency procurement forecasts you can find through acquisition.gov. The small business liaison contact information and website link is in here too. Vendor communication plans and the U.S. Federal Agency Industry Liaison Directory. So this is a great place for points of contact if you're looking for folks that you need to connect with. Now, again, what we don't like, links and data only as good as what's provided on other USG websites. And it's not necessarily vetted for usefulness or if the link is even still working. So there could be a lot of broken links in there too. But definitely a good place for points of contact. GSA eBuy. You know, I have very mixed feelings about GSA eBuy from a data perspective on trying to figure out types of contracts that are being awarded or put out to market. So this is run by GSA. It allows federal, state, and local buyers to solicit products and services from verified GSA contractors. So this is what they mean when they say you're on a GSA schedule. If you have access to those under those SINs, when you log into eBuy, you're able to see only the opportunities for the GSA schedule SINs that you qualify for. So when you're on eBuy, you do not see everything coming out on eBuy. That's one of the biggest issues. What we don't like is there's a big lack of transparency. And so that means a lot of scheduled bids are not available to be viewed by the public or even those on the schedules. But it is a great way to access real government buyers with needs and funding. So again, if you're looking for points of contact and you want to see who's buying what you're selling and you're on a schedule, use that data to identify points of contact and just different procurers and buyers that you know are purchasing in the real time. So that's sort of the difference. Now, if you're looking for more information, Haley actually just wrote up a whole thing on how to market your GSA schedule. So go check that out on our articles list. Now we start getting into some that are a little funkier. And this is sort of our soapbox that if you've ever seen like Amber and I speak at a presentation, we always bring this one and the next one up and people go, well, Lisa, grants.gov. I am not a not-for-profit. I am not up here doing this for my health. I am trying to make money. I'm a for-profit organization. Grants.gov is still a great location for you to find market intelligence about types of opportunities in the market. So now, right now, today, the system houses information on over 1,000 grant programs and vets grants applications for federal grant-making agencies. This is the centralized system for grant seekers. And now, why would you want to look for a grant if you're a government contractor? What we've said is, they're funded differently. So basic FAR contracts come from a different pool of money than grants do when it comes to the federal budget. So when you're afraid of things like shutdowns, this money is different. This money doesn't stop. There's no cost to register. You do need to register your entity and get a UEI when it comes to sam.gov, but on this one, you don't necessarily have to register for. It's hard to find documents or buyer contact information related to an opportunity, and it can be clunky and sometimes unavailable. So that's what we don't like about grants.gov. Something else to keep in mind is when you see a listing here and you go to it, you click on that sort of like opportunity number to find out more information. There are actually different websites that it will link through to elsewhere. Why? Why wouldn't it all just be housed on grants.gov? That's a good question for, the federal government and not necessarily me. So that's something to keep in mind. But again, why would you want to look at grants if you're a for-profit organization and government contracting? Because this can be a great way to pivot into a different customer space to get in front of people. The dollar values are typically smaller, but if you're looking for past performance that you want to develop in order to go after larger contracts, this is a good starting point to do so. A lot of the same things can be said about challenge.gov. So this is challenge.gov is the official hub for challenges and prize competitions. And since 2010, it has run over 1,200 prize competitions. So this is like public solvers ranging from students to hobbyists to small business and academic researchers. So there's a bunch of different variety of types of challenges that are released. There's tech challenges, there's more problem solving one too. And the result is, cash from an open prize competition type work. Now, usually they'll just write you a check on site and it might be for like $30,000. It's nothing crazy. But again, if you're trying to get in front of a particular customer, the people that are putting these on are federal agencies in Department of Defense and civilian. So it can be a really good way to get sort of like baseline past performance or at least more intimacy with a specific customer when you're going after larger contracts. What we like is that the page has events and challenges separated. So that makes it really easy to track. So you can see, we go there to look for events with different customer agencies. You can say, oh, Air Force is having a challenge event. I can go, I can get in front of people, I can ask some questions. And then the challenges, obviously, you can track that individually. And it also has a very helpful newsletter. So if you subscribe to the newsletter, you can get information about types of challenges as they are being released. What we don't like is it's hard to identify when a challenge has been released or was activated. So when it comes to timing, it can be a little difficult. And it doesn't have an API, which makes it hard to standardize. And now Haley's going to walk through some hidden gems.
All right, yeah. So the first one we have, there it goes. Okay, the first one we have is the Federal Acquisition Institute, or FAI. It was established in 1976 under the Office of Federal Procurement Policy Acts. FAI supports over 50 comprehensive training courses for the federal acquisition workforce. We like to use it for understanding how the acquisition workforce is being trained, on the government side. FAI also provides helpful tools like the periodic table of acquisition innovations and playbooks. You can see some of them on the right there, like human capital planning, careers, LEAP projects, equity and procurement, all fun topics like that. But we think the playbooks in particular are very useful as they detail case studies for various acquisition methods and their outcomes. All in all, this helps the federal contractor provide substantiation for acquisition strategy recommendations during the market research process. Next, we have the DS 1910 report, and I believe we only came across this late last year. So we're still learning and gathering information all the time too. Sadly, the DS 1910 is only run through the Department of State. I would love if every federal agency had one of these reports going, but this report reviews proposed acquisition strategies to meet DOS requirements. The report is updated bi-weekly and reviews are valid for 1 year from the date of issuance. And you could find this on their website pretty easily. We use it for finding opportunities that are not yet active, kind of like a typical procurement forecast. But the DS 1910 report also includes the potential acquisition methods or set-asides, which is what makes it unique and super useful. The report also provides federal buyer contact information, which is always a plus. So, one of the downsides is that you can't really export this. It's just like a table listed on the website. So even copying and pasting gets a little tricky, but all in all, pretty useful resource. Very happy it's out there.